Hello everyone, welcome back to the kitchen table. Just a quick audio only update really. DJI have just, in the last half an hour or so, bizarrely via the Wall Street Journal, even more bizarrely it's behind a paywall, so you know if you can't get hold of the paper version then you've got to kind of subscribe. Anyway, they've announced that in response to the incident of a drone, which was in fact a Phantom, crashing in the on the lawns of the White House, that they are going to release a mandatory firmware update for the Phantom 2, the 2 Vision and the 2 Vision Plus, which will, quote, help users comply with the FAA's Notice to Airmen, which is NOTAM 08326, which restricts unmanned flight around the Washington DC metropolitan area. Firmware is 3.10 and it's coming in the next few days. Now this explains why we have the apps, but DJI have not even mentioned them on their website, or normally the app comes with a firmware update, and I suspect they've decided to hold that back until they put these no-fly areas. Now, basically it'll be a no-fly zone centered on downtown Washington and extending for 25 kilometers. That's 15.5 miles radius in all directions, so that's probably going to cover quite a lot of people. And you will not be able to take off inside that airspace or fly into it. They then go on to say, perhaps more importantly, that this is part of a planned extension of the DJI no-fly zone system, which will prohibit flight near airports and other locations where flight is restricted by local authorities. These will include over 10,000 airports registered with the International Air Transport Association. They will expand the no-fly zones to ensure they cover the runways at all major international airports, because there are some very large runways that weren't, you know, the no-fly zones, because they were just a simple circle with centered on a point with a radius, they weren't actually covering the extremities of the runways. They're going to also prevent flight across national borders. I'm assuming you could just, if you're on the Canadian border, I'm assuming you could just put the Phantom in the back of the car, drive across the border, then fire it up, and as long as it thought it was in Canada, it's fine. So that's a bit bizarre, but yeah, there we go. It will prevent the other bad press about what looked like a 450, DJI 450 being used to attempt to fly drugs across the Mexican border. DJI has decided then to be very proactive as the market leader, and I think they really had no choice, because a lot of the negative press lately has been involving people with off-the-shelf DJI product. And I think that DJI have had to move very swiftly to avoid perhaps having some sanctions placed upon them, purely by dint of the fact that they're the most popular brand, and a lot of these, you know, a lot of these incidences are being caused by people who are going and buying them off the shelf from Amazon or a local store and flying them irresponsibly. I can't really argue with what they're doing. I mean, at the end of the day, I always advocated flight safety, and I've always advocated people getting themselves educated as to the no-fly zones and the restricted flying areas in their countries. Just as if you were flying a light aircraft, there are places you can't fly, and you know, you just have to deal with it. What I don't understand is how they're going to make it mandatory. If you don't plug your aircraft in, then I guess you could keep flying around on the old firmware, unless they can do it via the app. I don't know, but they're going to do it by the P2 as well. So yeah, I would kind of encourage people who are sensible to do that. You know, you haven't really got a leg to stand on if you are flying within no-fly zones that every other aircraft has to sort of comply with. So there we go. So yeah, as I said, I would have linked to the story on the Wall Street Journal, but they've put it behind a paywall. Thanks a lot. And there's no press release yet on the DJI website, but DJI are putting stuff up on the various forums. So I'll do you've got a screen grab of the actual release to see, and they'll put a link in the description to the one on Phantom pilots, as that's the one that I was notified to. And that's about it really, just to let you know. So we have got some new firmware coming. I was expecting it a while back, and I did wonder why there was this strangeness. Apparently there is also going to be, there have been reports of some issues with the latest version of the app, which again isn't still official. It's not on DJI's website yet, but everybody appears to have it. Closing, they're going to fix that as well, but it looks like they've decided to move very quickly in the face of a crashed DJI Phantom being all over the papers. So there we go, just a very quick update. Wasn't expecting to do one today, but there we go. Apologies for the lack of video, but I'm just not set up. The kitchen table is currently a kitchen table. And as I've already had somebody complain that it's very untidy, I didn't dare, you know, show them the kids' lunch plates up there as well. Anyway, thank you very much for listening in this case, and I'll see you again soon on the kitchen table. Until then, cheers.